of Church of Spirituality, and I'm glad that you're here. I see there are a few people that had shown up early. That's always something that gives you a few extra points in life. I hope you're having a good day so far. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in Massachusetts on Sunday, November 27th, Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you've enjoyed your time of celebration and connection, and this is to further that sense of celebration and connection. If you would ever like to receive the church program that we have for every Sunday, just to follow along, go to psychicannetdion.com, and you could even go there right now if you wanted to, and just sign up. Just put your email address in the place where you can do that. Go to Church of Spirituality page on psychicannetdion.com. This is a non-denominational church that I started on my own. I'm not affiliated with any other religion. And I just want to explain that it's Church of Spirituality, and I am making a concerted effort, going on 2 years now, to change the meaning of the word church, that in so many people's minds, the word church is a trigger. I found that out from just experience, talking to people and doing the work that I do. You notice the sign behind me says, "You are loved." I want you all to remember that, especially today. Next week is I think it's the 4th. Anyway, it's the first Sunday in December next week, and it is, so let me just check. Silly me, I can't figure out what the date would be. Next Sunday is, I know you guys have probably already figured this out, is December 4th. Church of Spirituality began on December 6th, 2020. So next week will be the 2-year anniversary. So I'm going to have a little candle and cake. And I really want you to join me for that, if you can. A lot of the texts that I take readings from are from Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind, New Thought Christianity, which was around quite a bit in the 1930s, 40s, around the time that Christian Science began, and Unity Church. So some of it is pulled from Christian readings, and it's a metaphysical interpretation of those sacred teachings. So our theme for the month of November has been service, the topic of service, and our sermon today is self-care as service. Are you saying what you're grateful for, your sweet and lovable Chihuahua? During this time, if you can make sure that you'll be in a quiet space where nobody will interrupt you or disturb you. Let your pets in or out, and kids can be with you if they can just be quiet and settle down. They're good like that if you say it in the right spirit. Kids can really be quiet and meditative. Please hit the thumbs up if you can, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you. And let us begin with a quote from Ernest Holmes. Cosmic purposes mean the ideas of God. The soul of man, being in constant contact with the soul of the universe, might contact tremendous powers if it would turn to the one. The higher power, the divine intelligence, God, Christ, Goddess. It's all one and the same. While we're waiting for people to kind of show up and realize that it's time for church, it comes quickly. I'm just going to play a little bit of music. Valley. The announcements that I have for today are that on Tuesday nights we have a meditation group. It's called 20 on Tuesdays. Primarily what we meditate on is a healed United States of America. And that contributes to the healing of the world. So please join us for that. And you can also do that on my website, psychicannetdion.com. You have to type in the .com. And also on that website you can sign up for Grassroots of Democracy. Thank you to the wielders of the wrenches, much appreciated, to keep the trolls away. We're going to start with a prayer for healing. Spiritual mind treatment prayer is an affirmative prayer where we state what we want to be so as if it is already so. And it's a prayer for healing of the United States. And we've been saying this every week for some time now. God is all in all, the divine presence that is everywhere. There is no spot where God is not. We declare that we, the people of the United States of America, along with the rest of the world, are one with this divine presence. Divine order is working through the situations of divisiveness and the appearances of hatred. We know and experience that everything is always happening for the ultimate outcome of healing and rebirth everywhere. Darkness that has been manifest is now fully removed and dissolved. Those who are out picturing hatred and vitriol are now stopped in their tracks. We see evidence now that the light is presently in the process of eliminating evil, stopping all violence, healing and protecting this and all nations. Enemy countries that may have received United States secret information find now that it has been rendered useless. Potential plans for any and all attacks are stopped. Harm to the people simply does not occur. Domestic terrorist extremist groups and individuals drop their arms and weapons, deciding that the planning of attacks on our nation and all nations is useless and simply not worth it. Collectively, we choose to have and to contribute to a country and to a world of peace. Justice is now in full operation and truth prevails, replacing all lies and negative rhetoric. We see the triumph of peace over conflict. Leaders who stand for love and unity prevail and win. Those who have stood for hatred and violence now fall from positions of power, according to the divine will. People everywhere demand and stand for the infinite power of love and interconnected harmony with one another. We eliminate from this prayer treatment any and all manifestations of fear, panic, doubt, worry, now and in the future. Negative emotions have lost all of their power. Negative outcomes simply do not happen. Positive occurrences and progress are the case, no matter the outward appearances. We work together as one country and one world to make America a safe and protected nation that is a beacon for a working democracy for the good of this nation and for the world. America heals now and becomes better than ever before. As we release this treatment to the divine law of harmony and good, we give thanks that it is so, and so it is. And let us take a moment of silence to send healing to those who have lost loved ones and friends to gun violence. Dear God, we ask that you help to heal these families and to stop the madness of the gun violence. Thank you. Okay. If you can put your prayer requests up, we have a beautiful community of people that will pray for you. It's hard for me to read the chat and do the service at the same time, but know that there are people here. They'll write down your name and they'll write down what you need and they will pray for you. We'll all pray for you. And we're going to do a prayer time in a short while. Our mission statement: we believe we are all connected to divine intelligence, continually moving through all of life and all living things. We remember to always align ourselves with the divine presence to create healing miracles in our own lives, positively affecting the lives of all those that we come into contact with, seen and unseen. We believe that the kingdom of heaven resides within each and every one of us and that love is all there is. We know and acknowledge that we are one. Okay, let us go to our healing chants. If you're new, welcome. What we do is every week we sing these healing chants. I wrote them, and they can help us through our crazy week. And please post your prayer requests. We're going into prayer time after the chants. All is well, all is well, all is well. Make sure you're singing along. Create a space for all being well. All is well, all is well, all is well. Really see things as being in divine order and things going well. All is well, all is well, all is well. On the note of all is well, I want to just mention that I know that we see a lot of darkness and a lot of difficult things happening in the world, and the darkness becomes more exposed when the light is really coming in strongly, and I know that from the depths of my being. It's unpleasant, but if we just keep affirming all is well and seeing all is well as being the case, that's the way we pray here, then the tendency for the energy to go there and for us to see the results of our positive vision, we'll see it. It will happen. It'll be more likely that we'll see it sooner. Okay, so now we're going to sing I Forgive Everyone. I forgive everyone, I forgive everyone, forgive everyone, I forgive everyone, forgive everyone, and with God's help, I forgive everyone, especially myself. And then we sing we forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, forgive everyone, and with God's help, we forgive everyone, especially ourselves. One more time. We forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, forgive everyone, and with God's help, we forgive everyone, especially ourselves. We know it's hard to forgive so often. Thank you for the comment that somebody commented, I did see it, that this is your first time here and you like it already. I appreciate that. If we can think about, how difficult it can be to forgive, and just, if it's too hard, to just see if you can pray to be more available for forgiveness energy. The next one is I move at God's pace and I receive God's guidance. God provides abundantly. I have no fear at all. And Annalise said she's singing along. So those of you who have been here before and know these, they're easy to remember. Sing along. Thank you for praying for one another. I move at God's pace and I receive God's guidance. God provides abundantly. I have no fear at all. We move at God's pace and we receive God's guidance. God provides abundantly. We have no fear at all. Why be in fear when we can be in faith? I like to remind people too that when Ernest Holmes wrote The Science of Mind, it was right around the time of the Second World War. It was like right in that time period in history. And if you're not familiar with the Science of Mind book, it's an approach to spiritual wisdom that's a metaphysical interpretation of sacred scriptures. So really, really good stuff. And even though the world was in such tumult then, there was a lot of spiritual wisdom that came out of that time. A lot. I mean, if you look up anything from Charles Fillmore that founded Unity, even Christian Science. I think Course in Miracles was a bit later. But you know, that school of thought. And the kind of prayer that we do is affirmative prayer. We affirm in faith that what we desire to be so is aligned with the divine, and we see it as so. That's a prayer of faith. And Ernest Holmes called that systematic way of praying a spiritual mind treatment. It's just a certain kind of a prayer. Okay, so let us go to the... we're going to go to our prayer time. This is where I sort of channel a prayer for our world and certain things that are going on. It's like spiritually guided, and you've put up your prayer requests, and you know, continue to put up your prayer requests as I do a chant to get us into the energy and the meditative state of prayer. Once again, please make sure that you won't be interrupted during this time. So settle in, bring all your focus to the breath, take some deep breaths. Close your eyes, make the breath really long and deep and slow. We are one in spirit, we co-create with God. We lift our prayers up to the light, expanding loving thoughts. We are one in spirit, we co-create with God. We lift our prayers up to the light, expanding loving thoughts. Feel free to chant to settle into the energy of the prayer. One more time. Bring all your attention to the sensation of the breath moving in and out, eyes closed as we enter into the sacred prayer time. Dear God, divine intelligence, goddess, life, source of all, we thank you for this virtual gathering, for all those who are here together live, and all those who will be watching this Church of Spirituality service later. As we come up upon 2 years of this church, I give great thanks that this has been possible, and we give thanks for all those that are present, and ask that you shower your blessings and goodness upon us and help us to see the good Please deliver us from the dark habits of complaining and blaming and shaming ourselves and others. We ask that through your grace, we are able to release our fear and our anxiety and stress and worry, and that more and more people are finding the peace that surpasses all understanding, grounded in the safety in the midst of all the storms that we face. We ask that you make us stronger in that faith. Dear God, during these tumultuous times, we recognize the earth is changing, civilization is changing, and along with those big changes, there are challenges. And we know that there is no challenge too great for you. It's divine, orderly intelligence that you are, that has been manifest in enlightened masters, including the enlightened Jesus Christ and many other spiritual enlightened masters who have walked on this earth and shown us that we are all one with this divine energy that you are. Help us to find the stillness, to not succumb to the ego and refuse to be still. We ask you to weaken the grip of the ego fear-based mind on our minds. Dear God, in the United States of America, we have been experiencing an epidemic of gun massacres, and this problem is so big for us to wrap our thoughts around, and we need solutions. And dear God, we ask that you help us to bust through all blockages and resistance to having gun reform. We envision guns being turned in and buyback programs. We envision people voluntarily choosing to not have so many guns. Please support those in law enforcement who are being subjected to these traumatizing scenes, and please help to heal the communities, the marginalized communities. Show us how to heal the hatred and the violence. We trust for you to guide us. And for all those, dear Lord, who are lonely and stressed financially, who are frightened of what's coming towards this end of 2022, during the holiday season, when there are so many expectations and financial stress on so many, please expand our vision of what is possible. Please help us to see opportunities to share and to give, and to be a more generous people, knowing that we are sent to where we're needed. And we ask, God, that you make it more evident that through the crises we become more united and joined together in love and not fear. And God, we recognize the rise of extremist people who are filled with hate, and we recognize that this hate has been given a platform. We ask for you to eliminate the showcasing of vitriol and violence as something to be like. Please guide the younger generations who are being swayed into directions that are damaging to our societies. Please help them to see your light and your love and your goodness. Show us your generosity during this holiday season, being channeled through each and every one of us. We ask, dear God, that the war on Ukraine end and all wars come to an end. We pray for an end to human trafficking, child poverty, and the effects of global climate change that are so destructive. Please help us to find solutions, and let us take a moment to bring to mind our own personal prayers. And dear God, you know what's in the hearts of people who are gathered here today. We ask that these prayers are lifted up and answered. And we state these prayers in faith that these prayers are answered. Please help the homeless and the shut-ins and the elders and all those who feel like they are all alone. We know there is no challenge that you cannot meet, dear God, and we are so grateful as we lift our prayers. We give thanks that they are answered, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, higher power. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up. I do appreciate that very much. Okay. Let us go to the first reading. Before I do that, I want to just say that on Tuesday nights after the 20 on Tuesdays meditation group that you can sign up for at psychicannetdion.com, we have a 45-minute session of going over these readings. And because the readings are really rich with meaning, so I really like delving in a little bit more. So it's kind of a discussion group, and it's a little bit like spiritual school. So please join us. The first reading is from a book called You Make the Difference, written by Eric Butterworth, in which he says, let me remind you, the sermon today is about self-care as service. One of the great discoveries of this age is the truth of our infinite potential, and that the purpose of life, as English poet Robert Browning expressed it, is to open out a way whence the imprisoned splendor may escape. This amazing discovery will eventually have a profound influence in such fields as education, criminology, and psychotherapy. So I'm going to say it again. Robert Browning said, the purpose of life is to open out a way whence the imprisoned splendor may escape. In an article on the psychology of personal growth in The Atlantic, Ira Progoff said, the experiences of Adler, Jung, Rank, and others indicate that neurosis occurs in the modern world not because of repressed fears, but because something creative and meaningful is seeking unsuccessfully to express itself in the life of the individual. The frustration of potentiality is the root of neurosis. The frustration of potentiality is the root of neurosis. The implications of this view are large. Man is not a bundle of repressions, but a bundle of possibilities. And the key to therapy lies in reactivating the process of growth. Now that doesn't necessarily mean like going to a therapist. The key to therapy, the key to addressing this lies in reactivating the process of growth. What does all this mean to you? It means that the great frontier for you today is the world within you. Press forward in your quest. You may well find that deep down within you, far deeper than the so-called complexes of fear and inferiority, is a confident, capable, creative person, the kind of person you want to be, because your very desire is a subconscious perception of your larger potential. It lives within us. Press forward in your quest. You may well find that deep down within you, far deeper than the so-called complexes of fear and inferiority, beyond that, is a confident, capable, creative person, the kind of person you want to be, because your very desire is a subconscious perception of your larger potential. This is why we go over the readings on Tuesday, because there's such good stuff in here. So please sign up to join us. You'll just receive a Zoom invite. And we meet every Tuesday. Our first hymn, if you're new, we do hymns every week too. And our first hymn today, sometimes I change the words, but this is called Sacred the Body. It's the other one I change the words to. That love may abide. All right, it's about self-love as service today. The next reading is from You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, the godmother of the self-help movement. She's on the other side, but she's still with us in spirit. This is a quote that I've actually had on what looks like, it's like a piece of parchment paper on my wall for a very long time. It's been with me for every move that I've made, and that's been a lot of moves. And it's just it's a total affirmation. Take a deep breath and take this in. I will say I, so you can say I as you repeat back. Deep at the center of my being, there is an infinite well of love. I now allow this love to flow to the surface. It fills my heart, my body, my mind, my consciousness, my very being, and radiates out from me in all directions and returns to me multiplied. The more love I use and give, the more I have to give. The supply is endless. The use of love makes me feel good. It is an expression of my inner joy. I love myself, therefore I take loving care of my own body. I lovingly feed it nourishing foods and beverages. I lovingly groom it and dress it, and my body lovingly responds to me with vibrant health and energy. I love myself, therefore I provide myself a comfortable home, one that fills all of my needs and is a pleasure to be in. I fill the rooms with the vibration of love, so all who enter, myself included, will feel this love and be nourished by it. I love myself, therefore I work at a job that I truly enjoy doing, one that uses my creative talents and abilities, working with and for people that I love and that love me. and earning a good income. I love myself, therefore I behave and think in a loving way to all people. For I know that which I give out returns to me multiplied. I only attract loving people into my world, for they are a mirror of what I am. I love myself, therefore I forgive and totally release the past and all past experiences, and I am free. I love myself, therefore I totally love in the now, experiencing each moment as good and knowing that my future is bright and joyous and secure. For I am a beloved child of the universe, and the universe lovingly takes care of me now and forevermore. And so it is. That's from You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. It's I think it might be at the end of that book, so I highly recommend. If you have the program, then you have it all written out. I highly recommend Louise Hay. Really, really good stuff. And I know that there are some lines in here that I can feel that the ego, the cynicism of the ego that creeps in. Like if you say, I love myself, therefore I work at a job that I truly enjoy doing, one that uses my creative talents and abilities, working with and for people that I love and that love me, and earning a good income. There are a lot of people out there that don't feel that way. But what do we always say here? We affirm that it is so. We affirm that that which we want to be so is so, and it becomes so. And our talk about self-love as service, we'll get into that momentarily. In the meantime, love the Spirit, your God is our hymn. And just as a side note, somebody's cooking. I'm upstairs from a restaurant. Somebody's cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and it's making me hungry. I guess somebody might be having a Friendsgiving or something like it. Okay. Love the Spirit, your God, with all your heart. Love the Lord your God with all your soul. Love the Lord your God with all your mind. Love the Spirit your God with all that you are. Love the Spirit within with all your heart. Love the Spirit within with all your soul. Love the Spirit within with all your heart. Love the Spirit within with all your soul. Love the Lord your God with all your mind. Love the Lord your God with all that you are. Love the Spirit within with all your mind. Love the Spirit within with all that we are. Love the Spirit within. Love the Spirit within. So the topic today is self-love as service. The entire month, our theme has been for November, service. We've talked a lot about gratitude and praise as service also. when we are in the vibration of gratitude, when we're in the vibration of appreciation, when we're in the vibration of seeing the good, and even when we're in the vibration of forgiveness, it is an energy that uplifts us. And the thing that is so difficult for us as humans is to bring our energies to that place. And the topic of self-love is one that I have visited and revisited, and I just read that from Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. The book is about self-love. It's about, some of it's about Louise Hay's journey when she was on the earthly plane. She died, by the way, in her mid-90s. She was still teaching. She never stopped working. That Louise Hay healed her life through self-love and affirmations and service was a kind of a really big, huge deal. And that book came out in it might have been like 89, 90. And during that time period, there was a resurgence. And I'm saying resurgence and not just a surgence, because I really do know that what Jesus taught was for us to honor and respect ourselves, because we are divine children of our loving Father, Mother God. And Louise really tapped into that, and a lot of you probably know this, introduced the idea that our thoughts can change our lives. And it was a resurgence of those ideas, because that is also what, say, Jesus Christ taught, and all the great masters, is that these, and even in the Bible it says, Jesus said, these things that I do, you also can do. And you also are sons and daughters of the Most High. That is really, it's contrary to what most churches and religions have taught. And just as a side note, I keep the name Church of Spirituality here because I'm really working hard on redefining the word church as meaning spiritual fellowship. I don't want to toss that word out. I'm not tossing that word out because it's too valuable. Spiritual fellowship is too valuable, and there's a healing in there if we can bring ourselves to something called church and to know that it's self-affirming and it's about this virtual fellowship that we have. So the topic of self-love is really what the great masters like Jesus taught. The kingdom of heaven is within us, and that kingdom of heaven that is within us really is describing the perfection that is within us. And when I say perfection, I'm not talking about everything is just so and just perfect, like all in between the lines. No, not like that. The universe is a self-correcting system, and the universe is always working through us to correct things. And the perfection that is within us that we must draw upon and access in order to be agents of love and agents of the light and agents of change. Change where change is needed. So the topic of self-love that Louise Hay wrote about when her book became very popular, and she was working during the time with AIDS patients and helping the gay men, especially with AIDS, to come to some semblance of love and peace within themselves for who they are, which was, very much hated in their communities and families just because they were gay. And Louise Hay came from a very abusive, very kind of a lost childhood, where she was the child of a single mother and was sexually abused and had even given birth to a child that she gave up for adoption. And she was at a messed up childhood. But through that, it's a testament to the darkest kind of, circumstances early in life can be flipped on their head and turned into the greatest healing, not only for oneself, but for the world, for the community. And that her book is, world famous. So what is within us is not expressed so much of the time. And I believe our purpose is to find that, to dig in and find it and to express it. It's not expressed fully largely due to, one of the contributing factors is wounded children that live within us. We all have a wounded child. I've never met a person that hasn't experienced some kind of childhood trauma, some kind of misinformation, mistreatment. We all come in as, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little children. And from infancy, and even before we're born, we're subjected to vibrations and energies and emotions of the people that are around us. And if we think back to what our parents' lives were like and our grandparents' lives were like, and the kind of the influences that were going on during that time, around the time of your birth, you will recognize that it was probably kind of crazy. I don't know for anybody that that's not somewhat true. I haven't met, and I've been working with people for longer than I even want to admit, and really seeing people's traumas and what people go through. We have to, as an act of service, and I mean have to because this is how it goes, and there's no way really around it. In order to truly serve one another, we have to deal with our stuff. And what I mean by that is we are neglected, we are abused emotionally or even physically, God forbid, and sexually, God forbid. We're exposed to a lot of negativity, a lot of fear, a lot of mistreatment. So you take a young innocent child like you were, a while back, and this innocent child who's just wants the world to be a loving place, is naturally inclined to be loving, is beat down, is confused, is neglected, is told that they shouldn't feel the way that they feel, which, believe it or not, I think is one of the greatest emotional wounds you can inflict upon somebody, is told to deny their feelings, is told to be competitive, is told that they don't really count unless they do. They're not really supposed to be, children are taught, they're not really supposed to be just automatically loved. They have to do something to earn that love. And there are so many ways that we are damaged. And what ends up happening is, unbeknownst to so many of us, there is a rage that is seething beneath the surface. And it's so locked in and so subconscious that it's so hard for people to see it. And this is why it's really helpful to get somebody working with you if you're having, issues, and we all have them, that can give you some insight and some guidance about how to get in touch with that and release it. Because we don't want to go through our lives numb to what's really going on, because that numbness can lead to self-abandonment, and self-abandonment is not a pretty place to be. And a lot of us checked out and got into self-abandonment mode, and then to fill that empty space of the need for nurturing, which we are all wired for, in order to fill that space, it is pretty common for people to go to substances, to drugs, to drinking, to just imbibing, and workaholism, sex addiction. There's so much that people will go to, being online too often, not doing the self-care. And we have to address this within ourselves if we're going to have any peace. And I have really said many times that I've done a little twist on Gandhi saying, be the change that you want to see in the world, to the point that I kind of forget the original thing that he said. Be the peace that we want to see in the world. When we become peaceful, there's an opportunity for the world to become peaceful. And I know that people look at that and, well, sure, how am I going to be peaceful with this jerk in my life, and this divorce I'm going through, and these troublesome children, and everybody hates me, and the world is so against me. How am I going to be peaceful then? Well, we go within and we do the work. Recently, I went to Byron Katie. I don't remember the name of her most famous book, but anyway, there are a lot of teachers that came out and authors that came out and lecturers. During that time period in the 90s especially, and I mention a lot of those books here, where it was about, Byron Katie would talk about doing the work. The work is about getting real and getting honest. What happened to us that cut us off from the self-love, and what can we do to get it back? Or maybe to touch it for the first time ever. Being the peace that we want to see in the world requires for us to find out how to uncover that peace that resides within each and every one of us. All of us. It requires for us to get to a place where we can heal that. And we do need help with it. It's not something that is easy for people to do without guidance. So, this sermon could go into 5 more sermons. And I might do a class. So I'll keep you posted about that. I'm just going to close with, because I could be really long-winded on this topic. I'm just going to close with, when Putin invaded Ukraine back in February of this year, and I kind of checked out. I just couldn't believe how horrifying it was. I was absent for 3 weeks from my YouTube channel. I just couldn't process what was going on with that. And so when I prayed about it, the message that I received was, Annette, the most important thing is for people to go within themselves, because we're all connected in this collective energy. The most important thing is that we go within ourselves and we heal, and then stop the anger and the fury that exists in our own beings. Because we all have it. I've never met a person that doesn't have some kind of a rage and a fury within them. And we can put it to good, productive use, but the most important thing is to not feel threatened by it and to process it in very, very productive, creative ways, and to guide others to do the same, and to recognize that hurt people are the ones that hurt people, and people that are healing their inner child selves are the ones that can be the greatest contribution. So be nice to yourself, be good to yourself, be nurturing to your inner child. That's the work. And that's why I have the sign behind me, you are loved today, because I recognize how many of us need to hear that and need to know that. Everybody needs to know that they matter and they're loved and important. We all need that. And most people, I would say 99.9% of the population has not received enough of a sense of it. And I'm not talking about big narcissistic ego. I'm talking about you have value. When we go namaste, that's the divinity in me salutes the divinity in you. If we want a more peaceful world, we have to get more peaceful within ourselves, and that is the work. And we'll be talking about that a lot more in the future. And thank you for listening. Let's go to the next part of our program. If you want to send me a message or thoughts that you have or questions, AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. I love to hear from you. Namaste. All right, let's go to our, don't leave church early. Let's go to our time of Thanksgiving. Life's persistent and most urgent question is, what are we doing for others, said Martin Luther King. If you would like to tithe to Church of Spirituality, going on its 2nd year now, I just recently started to ask for tithes just to support this work. You can do that at my website. Also, if you receive the program, there's a link right on the program. I appreciate it. And I always want to urge people to give to the International Rescue Committee to help Ukrainian refugees, to contribute to Sadhguru's worldwide Save Soil initiative by going to savesoil.org. And in the United States, please take some time today, if you're in the United States, to donate to Senator Raphael Warnock's campaign. He's running against a person who's very dangerous. So let's make sure that we do that. And savesoil.org. Thank you for posting that. Thank you for your caring and compassion for others and for our sacred planet. that is in desperate need of healing. Our prayer of thanksgiving. Dear God, thank you for making us more aware of what we have that we can give to make a difference in this troubled world. Please help us to look deeply into our hearts to see that we can always give more. Help us to see that you make our supply infinite, granting us the inspiration and courage to be a more generous people. Thank you for your bounty, which we receive. Amen. Somebody's putting where our focus goes, energy flows. I think I have a little bit of extra time, I think. And if so, only if I can find it, we'll do the last 10. Let's do that. There's a hymn that I always skip because I run out of time, called Pass It On. And I love the words to this, so I want to squeeze this hymn in today before we say our last reading. And you might know it. You might know this one. Thank you for your kind comments. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. Soon all those around will warm up in its glowing. That's how it is with God's love. Once we've experienced it, we spread the love to everyone. We want to pass it on. We wish for you, our friends, this happiness that we found. You can depend on Him. It matters not where we're bound. We'll shout it from the mountaintop. We want the world to know the Lord of love has come to us. We want to pass it on. The Lord of love has come to us. We want to pass it on. Love has come to us. We want to pass it on. Let us read from Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind, which we always close with. Thank you so much for your presence here today, or whenever you're watching. Deep breath. Through the long night watches, God's hand clasps ours. At the break of dawn, God's hand clasps ours. In the daytime of work and endeavor, from eternity to eternity, God's hand clasps ours. When time shall have passed, when eternity shall be strewn about like falling petals, and space and worlds shall be swallowed up in everlasting blessedness, God's hand shall clasp ours, and so it is. Also, if you want to, any recommendations of books to read on the topic of healing the inner child and, self-love, send me an email and I'll send you the suggestions. AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. Go in peace, be peace, and pray for peace. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you continue to join us. And namaste. God bless. See you soon.